The Biltmore Estate's philosophy, since its completion in 1895, has been to remain self-sustaining through innovation and creative thinking. And it all starts with the food.
One of the important parts of our mission is the preservation of Biltmore as a working estate. Thinking back into 1895, the goal of Vanderbilt and his managers was to produce all the food, fiber, and everything that was consumed by the family, the staff, and the guests on the estate. And if you think about Asheville in the late 1800s, it was probably a necessity.
Eli Herman, the production garden manager, says 20 years ago, long before the farm-to-table movement exploded, Vanderbilt's grandson, William Cecil, emphasized the importance of agriculture to the estate.
The flavor, the quality, the nutritional value of truly fresh produce, and he started doing that here nearly 20 years ago, with our field-to-table project.
And today, they not only are providing fresh food, but also using technological advances in agriculture through hydroponics.
It's essentially soilless grown, so we have a little bit of peat moss, but there's no real nutritional value in it. That's just to hold the seed till it can germinate. And then it grows in a nutrient solution, so in a water solution with all the nutrients added. We monitor them once a week and adjust the calcium and nitrogen and phosphorus and all that the plants need, and then we keep them growing in there. So these are in the raceways here that are 6 feet wide by 32 feet long and 2 foot deep. And the 2 foot depth is to take advantage of the cool of the soil, and so the water doesn't heat up. As long as we can keep the water below about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, the lettuces really like to grow, even though it gets to 90 or 100 degrees in the greenhouse. This lettuce right here has only been in this house about 3.5 weeks, so it went from little plugs to almost fully mature lettuce in about 3.5 weeks. And here you can see the nice clean roots and the water solution that it's growing in. And we will harvest this in about 2 days. It'll be just a little bit bigger than that. And we get 20 cases of lettuce a week out of here that go to our restaurants. And you can't get it much fresher than that. We cut it in the morning while it's still cool and get it to them before lunch. And it's a whole lot better than coming from the left coast in a train car.
The food doesn't end in the greenhouse. The Biltmore also raises lamb and cattle. And eggs? They've been a part of this estate since the 1890s.
Right now we are in the original brooder house that was built in 1896 for George Vanderbilt's farm. Vanderbilt had a very, very well-known and large poultry farm. His chickens were exhibited at state fairs and were nationally known for their quality and very much in demand. This building was used to collect eggs out of the fields, bring them down here, wash them, and then also to incubate and brood chicks that were used for sale or for replacement animals on the farm. That's exactly what we're doing today. We have several flocks of free-range chickens that are the old heirloom breeds, some of the very same breeds that George Vanderbilt had in the late 1800s. And as you can see, most of them are brown egg layers. Our chefs prefer the brown eggs. These are very, very good, delicious eggs because the chickens are out grazing, eating grass, and scratching and insects, which adds flavor to the eggs.
The self-sustainability of the estate doesn't end with agriculture. It's just the beginning. Today, through technology such as solar and biodiesel, Vanderbilt's vision to protect the environment continues.
Solar is another great example of how we are continuing with George Vanderbilt's vision of self-sufficiency on the estate. It's very innovative, but George Vanderbilt was very innovative. If you look at the house and the way that the house was powered in the late 1800s, he had a dynamo generator in the basement, and that's how he would supply electricity to the house. He also had a natural heat convection system that would allow heat to rise naturally to heat the whole house. It was one of the first places where Edison light bulbs were used in a residential setting. Innovation was here from the start, and so doing solar just made perfect sense.
The estate has 10 acres of solar fields throughout the property, bringing in 1.7 megawatts of solar power that's pumped into the local energy grid. But like many things at Biltmore, there's more to it than just making power.
If you think about investing in solar, you have to find a field to do it in. So when we looked at the estate, we wanted to make sure it was something tucked away but with full exposure of the sun. And because we have so many pastures, we thought it would be a great idea to use a pasture for a solar field, but then also continue to use it for agriculture purposes. So when we identified this field, we didn't have to cut trees down in order to put the field in. We have additional acres if we wanted to expand, and we can also let the sheep graze in the field and cut our grass for us in a natural way.
And speaking of natural, this field of yellow is much more than just a beautiful scene. It's also contributing to the estate's energy efficiency.
Bringing that whole idea forward, several years ago our CEO thought, well, why don't we produce our own biodiesel for use on the property? We did some research and learned that winter canola does very well in the southeast, and we started just with planting 50 acres, harvesting the seed, coming to this facility and making our own fuel. Once we produce our own biodiesel from our canola seed, it's used in our diesel equipment and vehicles on the estate. So it's kind of a self-sustaining loop. The other interesting thing about canola is when you crush the seed, you have a byproduct, which is canola meal. And canola meal is a very, very high protein supplement that we use to feed our over 1,000 head of cattle and sheep on the estate.
Most visitors won't see the many self-sustaining attributes at Biltmore, but the grandeur that's never missed are the gardens. And they, too, are in line with the initial vision for Biltmore. Vanderbilt brought in Frederick Olmsted, a renowned designer, to plan the gardens. And today, Olmsted's vision is still very much alive.
When we're going to do a planting in any of the historical areas, we research all the information we can find with pictures and letters and archives, drawings, and we look at what was that original design intent. What was it that Olmsted wanted the people to experience when they came on the estate, and then we try to recreate that. So we may not put something back exactly like it was planted in 1890, but we'll plant it back so that our guests can experience the same thing that Olmsted wanted the guests to experience back then.
So a visit to America's largest home today will be an experience straight from the late 1800s, just as Vanderbilt originally envisioned.